Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Young Lawyer Podcast. For all those newbies listening in, this podcast discusses topics such as studying law, mental states, mindsets, dealing with external factors, and unexpected circumstances. Along the way, having guest speakers such as senior associates, graduate lawyers, and students. Now let's get into it.
All right, well, welcome to the Young Lawyer Podcast. It's fantastic to have you on. If you can just start by introducing yourself and how you began your legal journey.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Taylor Wilson. I started my legal journey quite early on. I've always wanted to sort of go into law. My grandpa, he popped it into my head. He said that, you're smart enough to be a lawyer. And I kind of just developed from there. So when I was in high school, I started a traineeship at 14. And I was working in a law firm studying a certificate in business. So that was very interesting. So throughout my whole life, I've sort of worked in offices and worked in the legal industry. So it's been a good over 10 years I've been in the legal industry for.
I was going to say that's a lot earlier start than most people I've spoken to, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's been a journey, definitely. But yeah, like I said, it's always been my dream. So wanted to start early.
And how did you find, I guess, being introduced to it so early? Like, was it a bit of a shock to the system, or was it like, oh, I can actually enjoy this, I want to keep going after high school?
Yeah, so when I started my traineeship, it was mainly just the little bits, so the filing and the reception type work. It was quite interesting. It was a firm. It was quite small. I don't think they're there anymore. And they sort of did like PI and all those kind of things. I didn't really get too much into the law with it. I was just sort of working on the reception side of it. And then I studied legal studies in school, and I was very sort of passionate about that as well. So I did enjoy that. And then once I left school, I obtained a job working as a receptionist in another local firm, and was there for about almost 3 years, and really sort of got into the law in there. So I dealt with a lot of generalist stuff, which was mainly, wills and estates and conveyancing and, more of the business side of everything. And I did really enjoy it. So then I decided to go to uni and continue my passion. And it was a very interesting journey, to say the least. I started doing a double degree. So I did a Bachelor of Law and Business. And in my first year, I fell pregnant. So that was very difficult. I was a single parent, doing a sort of a double degree. It was very tough. I did my final exams for that first year at 35 weeks pregnant.
Jesus. That's
Yeah,
commitment
so
right there.
it is. It's determination, and it was sort of like the goal. So you want to, I've always wanted to be a lawyer, and I've always been very career driven. And some people may think that it was just, a little bump in the road, but it sort of added to everything. And she was there through, my whole uni life. The first year that she was born, I would take her to uni. She was sort of the uni baby. And she was there when I got admitted, which was great, which I've got a nice little photo of her taking the spotlight as always.
It must have been difficult though. I can barely look after myself most days, let alone look after someone else, as well as doing uni, especially a double degree. I guess, how did you kind of cope, and what was your mindset, or did you set goals for yourself, or how did you manage that?
Yeah, so it was very tough, especially in the first maybe 3 or 4 years. A lot of stuff happened outside of work, outside of work and also uni that sort of clashed with it. So I sort of went down to 2 subjects, and then I went back up to 4 subjects, and then I went down to 3, back to 4, sort of tried to make sure that I got that balance that I could do. Um, and I found that sort of 3 subjects was the best kind of balance for me. So it took me sort of an extra year to do my studies as opposed to everybody else.
Okay. And with that, you've said a number of times that, you've always wanted to be a lawyer. What is it about the law that's actually attracted you to it?
I guess that we can help people. Everybody wants to help someone and find a passion in their life. And I feel like the law, although a lot of people do think that the law can change, but us being in the law, we can also help that change as well as our clients. If we can petition and we can appeal and we can do all those kind of things. And we've seen it in so many new recent developments, especially with the domestic violence laws and, the Family Law Act and all those sort of amendments and, the criminal code and those types of things. I like being able to help things get better in a sense. So I like that I can help my clients and that they're okay, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's, a pretty common thing. It's either we want to help and, more
Yeah.
often than not, then we're problem solvers as well. And that's where we kind of just fit in as lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's such a great thing to have as passion wise, and a drive to help others and, help improve, I guess, their situation, especially
Yeah.
in, if you're doing family law at the moment too. Um,
Yeah.
in saying that, is, family law what you're wanting to stay in, or have you tasted a few other areas, or what's the go there?
I have done a different array of areas of law. I worked at the Barristers Chambers, the Sunshine Coast Barristers Chambers, for quite a long time. So I was sort of open to a lot of the fields, especially criminal and personal injury, and mainly the commercial side of law. Um, Family law was not something that I wanted to go into while I was doing my studies. I didn't do it at uni, wasn't one of my electives. I didn't do it in my PLT. Um, but it just sort of, it came about, and I have gone through a lot of a domestic violent relationship, and I've dealt with, the parenting side of trying to deal with someone like that, and then obviously the repercussions of a DV relationship, and everything that sort of goes along with that. So domestic violence is one of my passions. So it is one of my field of interests. And helping out the families, that sort of I can resonate with, and just help them out in a good way.
Yeah, and that's such a good point again. Having that passion and I guess having that hands-on experience as well, you can put yourself
Mm.
in the client's shoes and go, all right, I know how much this
Mhm.
sucks. I want to help as much
Yeah,
as I can.
exactly. Yeah, and like we all know that we've got to keep that sort of barrier in between us, but it is good to have that compassionate side in a lawyer, I think. Um, they don't sort of want someone that's just going to be all procedural based. They sort of want someone to be there. They're telling their story, as my boss tells me all the time. We need to listen to their story, and they're telling us their story. They're opening up, and to have someone that's compassionate, I think, is really a developing thing in the law as well, especially with lawyers compared to how they used to be.
Okay. And how do you feel, I guess, having someone pretty much dump their, well, not dump, but like put their story onto you, and you've got to kind of just sit there and go, all right, and just kind of
Mm.
absorb it. And like, how does that work after hours when you're still thinking, oh, how do I help this person?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like thinking about it can also help you. So sometimes your best ideas will just randomly pop into your head at 9 o'clock at night, you know? Um, I try not to think about it. I do like to have that barrier between my personal life and my work life, and try to make it not get, too heavy on me. I know a lot of family lawyers and also criminal lawyers have dealt with a lot of that kind of impact. So I think we just got to remind ourselves that we are trying our best. And yeah, you know, I don't think work's ever going to go away. And even if that's a construction site or a receptionist at an accounting firm or being a lawyer, I think we all think whenever we need to or feel the need to think. You know, things just pop in our heads, I think.
Oh, I completely agree. And, having a background in criminal law as well, I've seen it
Yeah.
firsthand when, they just kind of don't let it go and leave work at work and they take it home with them. And I've seen the effects it can have. And I guess it's
Yeah.
really tough on people and their mental health and, their whole
Mm.
persona, because you can see the next day when they've not taken that time out for themselves, they've just kept working. They come in the next day and they're just drained. So in saying
Yeah.
that, how do you, I guess, set those boundaries and how do you separate work from personal life?
Yeah, so I definitely have some steps in place. So I have an app on my phone that reminds me every night that it's me time. I see a psychologist regularly to deal with a lot of strain on obviously the domestic violence that I've encountered and also everything else that happens in life. So I feel like talking to someone is a really good idea. Um, I think a lot more people should. You know, people just try to, you know, wipe it off and think that they're going to handle it. But in the end, I feel talking to someone is definitely a good outlet, whether it be another colleague or definitely a professional, I feel.
Oh, and I completely agree. I still feel like there's probably a lot of stigma still floating around over the whole mental health, and it's weak to
Yeah,
speak, but it's really not. Like at the end of the day, your
no,
mental health is the most important thing. You and your
yeah,
body and your head, and it's really a shame that people can't let their ego go to just kind of help themselves. I know for me, I enjoy, I read a book, or like if I turn the camera, there's whole books everywhere. And I do my meditation. I wake up in the morning, I do my breathing work for half an hour, and then I come home from work and I just meditate again to release it all because it does build up. I completely
yeah,
agree.
yeah, and we definitely need to, you know, try and take all those outlets and avenues that we are offered. So law care I have dealt with, and they are a very good system. They get you in really quickly as well, compared to the public system with psychologists and those types of things. They do take quite a long time. Um, but with law care, I feel a lot of lawyers should also, even if they're not having problems, just to sort of de-stress. Um, I think it's a really good idea. People need to recognize their mental health and also other people's mental health. Um, it's very common for people to just see others and just go, no, you're fine, you know, and they don't see the signs. And I feel that, you know, a lot of things sort of need to be a little bit better in that sense. I've noticed that the College of Law are recently doing, um, you know, the signs of mental health, sort of like a CPD type thing. And I've seen a mental health first aid going through on LinkedIn. People can register and sort of see the signs. I think something like that is very helpful to help us all recognize the signs with our colleagues and our friends, um, to try and help them and not sort of push them away when something happens.
Oh, yeah. Once again, I completely agree. That's such a good point. And as I've
Yeah.
said in a previous podcast, previous episode,
Mhm. Yeah.
we're not meant to fix it. We're not experts. We don't know what they're going through. We don't
Mhm.
need to fix it. We just need to be there and go, all right, if you need a hand, I'm here. I'm a helping
Yeah.
hand. I'm a ear to listen if you need it. That's all
Exactly.
we really need to do.
Yeah, most definitely. Um, yeah. I think just a lot of things need to develop a lot more. I'd love to help in a legal sense with mental health, but I'm not sure how to do that yet. But I'm working on it.
Yeah, well, my partner's actually in the process of trying to get a non-for-profit going for free mental health services because she'd done the Headspace thing before, and they take
Yeah.
weeks at a time to try and get in and see someone. So she's actually in the process of actually starting that up to try and get support and hopefully look to open up like free just counselling services and whatnot.
That's great. Let me know when she, works that all out, and I can help her. And
Well, she does like events and stuff. It's called Thinking Out Loud Community, I'm pretty sure. I
yeah,
can send you the
beautiful.
link to it, but so just at the moment she's just got like meditation events at the beach like this weekend, and so
That's
she'll get
great.
a proper yoga instructor, meditation to come down, and just whoever attends basically.
Yeah, that's lovely. I've been trying to work on my meditation and all of that. It takes a long time to get your brain to stop. So it's taken me a couple of sessions, but we're working on it, which is good.
Yeah, I've been doing it on and off for a year or two now, and yeah, I completely agree. The first times you're sitting there, you're like, this seems like such a waste of time. Like my brain's still just wired. But then there's sometimes you just pass out because it's just like you're relaxed.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, back to I guess law talk. How
Yeah.
did you find the transition from being a student now that you're from a student to a lawyer?
It was a little bit difficult, I would say. As you know, on the coast, jobs are quite minimal. Um, but I was lucky enough to find a position to go into before I left Chambers. So I did that sort of swap over, which was great. And then transitioning from sort of more of the laid back student type vibe to, like a full on intense,
Pressure's on
you
now.
know. Yeah, it definitely took a little bit of a toll. I wasn't experienced in all the sort of daily client things, I would say. So the constant phone calls that you get interrupted with, and then all the emails that you sort of backlog on. I think they're the main factors that I found difficult trying to get on top of, was all of that. Like, obviously we studied law and we know the law, and we can apply the law and those types of things, but the daily stuff that you don't learn in uni, I think a lot of people may struggle with in that transition. And it's all a learning process. You're not perfect, no one's perfect, so we're all still learning. If one avenue doesn't work, we find another system to try and make sure that we do better, whether that be setting time for reading your emails, which my boss does. She has specific set times, as do I. I come in the mornings and read all my emails first before I do anything, so I'm caught up on everything. I check it constantly throughout the day. And I think structure as well is something that really, really helped me. So booking out my calendar and my time, this is my lunch hour and this is when I'm going to do this client, and sort of having a structure like that, I feel helped. Or you'd get caught up in one thing and you'd spend the whole day on one thing and then you'd be behind. Yeah, so in that sense, I did struggle with that transition, but it's all a work in progress.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in the same boat still. I
Yeah.
guess, how do you deal with making mistakes? Being so inexperienced like myself, coming into a new role that I haven't really done before, and similar
Mm.
to you coming into family law, how do you guess deal with those mistakes and getting that critique and going, oh, okay, I need to work on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, I've told my bosses that I like direct and upfront feedback. That's just the type of person that I am. And I find that, working in a very busy firm, that sometimes your feedback gets pushed back to another day and then it all kind of compiles, and it just, kind of digs into your mental health as well when it's all bunched in. So I've, actively told my bosses that I like my feedback direct and straightforward and as soon as possible. So that helps me correct it as soon as possible, rather than doing it again and again and again and then having the talk, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, especially well, a lot of us as young lawyers, and me included, you get that
Mm,
first email that goes, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. You go,
yes,
oh no, I've just spent 4.5
yes,
years doing uni and PLT or however long, and it's just like, it
yes,
was for nothing.
exactly. And it's very heart dropping as well. And you're like, oh no, I don't want to, make my bosses think that I'm not capable and those types of things. But they know that they've done it and they've made mistakes. And, with the law, everything is quite subjective, as we all know. It depends. um, so, those mistakes do happen, and we just got to make sure that we recognize them early on. I think that works for me. I'm not sure if it works for everybody else. But yeah, I feel like direct feedback in a very upfront, sort of on time way sort of helps me, so I can try and make sure that my work is okay.
And in a similar regard, what emphasis would you place on having a good, I guess, teacher or a mentor to actually give you that feedback and support you to help you grow properly?
Yeah, I feel that it's needed. I feel that there's a lot of people out there that sort of just pop things on the baby lawyer's desk and just leave. I've known a couple of previous lawyers who just, they don't really mentor, they just sort of give. Um, but I'm lucky to have a team that's just great. We've got the two directors, and then I work solely with one director, and then we've got another junior lawyer who works solely with the other director. And that helps us have our own mentors that we report back to, and that they, give us our feedback. And I think it's really important also for the mentors to sort of think and sort of realize that we're still baby lawyers, and we're not going to get everything perfect on the one go. We're still learning, and we do need that time, even if it's extra time. It may take them 5 minutes, but it may take us an hour. Um, yeah, I think a mentor that really needs to, realize that, I think is good. But yeah, I think,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I completely agree again, and I'm pretty lucky where I am because this literally within the first week, I had to do a letter of advice for a client on
Mm,
something I've literally never done before, and
yeah.
his reply was, "Look, I'd rather you take half a day doing one letter, making sure it's correct
Mhm.
and all the advice is right, than spending 5 minutes on it and trying to rush it out." I was like, okay, well,
Exactly.
yeah, that's good.
Exactly. And in our job, I think it's very fast paced, and we do have to realize that we do need to kind of take that calmness and take that extra time to make sure that it's right, rather than you know being
Oh,
like, oh no,
absolutely,
we
especially when
have to
you
get
get
that done.
yeah, especially when you're getting bombarded with emails from clients saying, "I need this urgently."
Yes, definitely. One of the really good things that my boss has told me is that to give the clients sort of time expectations. And if you can't meet those time expectations, then give them a call, pick up the phone, and explain to them the situation. They'd be more happier than you doing that than you being a week late and then them following you up. Yeah.
Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree. Even just a small email saying, "Hey, sorry, we're running a bit late." Like end of last
Yeah.
year, I've had that much urgent stuff to do, and
Oh,
with I had
yeah.
to help conveyancing and everything, and it was just yeah, it
Mm.
was not good. It was busy.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, just a little email saying, we're flat out, we're swamped, or
Mm.
there's urgent court matters on, or something like that. Just a little heads up. They
Exactly.
appreciate any
Yeah.
little touching base kind of thing.
They do, most definitely. Can you hear my bird in the background?
Yes. Sounds like he's having a ball.
He is. He's having a great time.
Alrighty, well, coming towards the end of it, I've just got two more questions for you.
Sure.
If you weren't a lawyer, what do you reckon you would be?
Ooh,
And
hard.
what is something you know now that you wish you knew when you started?
Okay. If I wasn't a lawyer, I feel that at this point in time, it may have changed throughout my life. So I did want to be a nutritionist at one point. I did business as my second degree. So I sort of did that as a backup if I wasn't able to get into the law, or didn't want to eventually go into it. So I did have that as a backup, and I majored in human resource management. But with the experience and everything that I have now, I think I would continue on the path of mental health, and sort of either do more study for counselling or social sciences, or psychology myself. Something along those lines is what I'm feeling, if I wasn't in the law, would be my passion at the moment. Very passionate about mental health and getting it out there, you know. So I think that's what I would be if I wasn't. What about you?
Yeah, that'd be an interesting pathway. Oh, me, I wouldn't even know. Yeah, I went to do physio and whatnot at uni, but hated it after 6 months. So I dropped out and come back and fell into a law job and been here ever since. So I really haven't even thought about it. It's just been all heads, all guns blazing. But I feel like I'd probably want to do something in the health or mental health industry. I'm always looking to help people, and I enjoy exercising as much as the next person. So why not try and make a living out of it?
Exactly, most definitely. And then the other question, what did I know? What do I wish I knew then? Yep. That's a toughie. I guess just to be myself. I can't please everybody. It's not really law related, but it's something that I'm trying to embed in my head. Yeah, I think the law is just it's not what you expect, especially when you're younger. It's not SUV, it's not suits, it's not anything like that. There are some downsides to it. There are some very upsetting things in it. I did international human rights law at uni, and that really opened my eyes, and a little bit sad about everything to do with that. So I guess just going in with an open mind, not thinking that I'm going to be this person and this, I'm going to go into criminal law, or that's what I want to do. It's just I would feel everything, see what's right for you, because what's right for you back then may not be right for you now, because everything changes.
Oh, 100%. And I've said it probably 100 times in all these podcasts, is that, you don't know until you try. Our basis for the whole human society is built on trial and error, medicine, everything, your day-to-day life, it's built on, trying something. If you don't like it, you're obviously not going to do it again.
Exactly, most definitely. Like I said at the start, family law wasn't what I wanted to go into. When I first started uni, I wanted to do criminal law, and then when I did the subject, it wasn't for me. It wasn't something that I really wanted to get into. I've always been sort of passionate about, like fair work and employment law and sort of the business side of things. But then as my life went on and I sort of went through a lot of different things and hard times in my life, I found a passion for other things, and I'm happy that I'm trying to help people in sort of the same situations that I was,
Yeah, and that's such a great point, and I guess really good motivation and determination to help in those circumstances, because you've been there and you want to go, all right, I don't want you to be in the same situation I've been in. Let's help as much as I can.
Yeah.
Well, it's been great chatting to you. You've given out so much great advice throughout this episode. What would be, I guess, your summary of them for someone wanting to take up a legal career?
I think if you want to do it and you're thinking about it, try it and see if it's for you. You will always wonder what if and what if. I feel like you just need to give it a go. If it's not right for you and you're not happy with it, don't stick with it if you're not happy with it.
Where do you draw the line in happy with it? Because no one likes studying.
That's very true. But I feel like even though studying is difficult and it is hard, I did always like the content. So if the content is just not for you, then I think that's when you need to realize that you need to back off a little bit and try and find something else that you're passionate about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fantastic point. And yeah, thanks again for jumping on. It's been great chatting to you.
Thank you for having me.
That's no worries. How does someone go about getting in contact with you if they want to touch base or have a chat or hear more?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on LinkedIn, Taylor Wilson on LinkedIn. I think that's probably the best way to contact me. I check that pretty much every day. I do have the app on my phone. Just swing me a message. I'm happy to answer any messages if it's about the law, if it's about just life in general. I'm here always to have a chat.
No
Yeah.
worries. Well, there we go. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to the Young Lawyer Podcast. If you found this content useful or enjoyable, make sure you share it with your family, friends, or colleagues. Let's grow the Young Lawyer community. If I can ask you a huge favour, can you please leave a review or a comment on iTunes and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that way we can grow the community even further. Until next time, guys.